evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam, alongside me, as always, and back from the abyss, Tarek, the GM. How you doing tonight?
Much better than last week. Sorry I couldn't be here. Times change, weather changes, kids in school. It all happened, so I had to take the night off. Saw the
Don't mention
video.
it.
You guys did a great job without me. I don't even know why I'm here, but I'm here to bring the whole show down. Let's do this.
I had no doubt you would be here. Anyway, of course, we have King Football Jesus with us as well. How you doing tonight?
You know, I'm a little down in the dumps. I didn't even bother putting on the crown. I don't feel worthy of wearing it because of last week's performance, but hopefully this week I can get that mojo back and get back to where I belong, on top of the mountain.
It's a long climb for you. And then, of course, the one at the top of that mountain right now is not with us. We will hope to see her again next week. See you later, Jess. Anyway.
She dethroned me and then left.
Indeed. So, interesting week of football last week. We all did pretty well with our picks. There's 4 teams currently going into bye weeks this week. It's kind of early, week 5. They usually do bye weeks from week 5 to week 12. Quite frankly, I think it's a little early for buys, but with the 4 teams going on bye, who do you think needed it the most at this point?
I'll start. I'm going to say the Tennessee Titans. They really had no offensive game plan with Will Levis last night against the Miami Dolphins, whose defense has been statistically horrid. He unfortunately left the game with a shoulder injury early on, and Mason Rudolph came in and was actually using the players that they have around him. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Tony Pollard, like those weapons, you should have a productive offense. So I think what this bye week is going to allow them to do is really decide, is it Will Levis or is it Mason Rudolph that's going to give us the best opportunity to win games down the stretch?
Spoiler alert, it's neither.
Well, I mean, it's a shot.
Pretty like, I don't know what to do now. You said something different. I disagree. I'm going to be a contrarian to make this show interesting. I'm going to go with the Eagles. They're coming off a really disappointing loss. Just make sure I got the numbers right. 16-33 against the Buccaneers. So that's not good. They won the week before by a measly 3 points against the Saints. They lost by 1 point against the Falcons, and they won by 5 points against the Eagles. So, they had one good win, one not so good win, and then 2 bad losses. So, I think they're ready. I don't know all the players that Brady does, but they need this to get their bleep back in order, try to get their stuff handled, try and see if how they can best lose against Dallas in the future.
You guys have picked 2 pretty good options. I am going to go with the third, the Chargers themselves. They did lose last week. They're 2-2 so far. Unfortunately, they had to go against the Patrick Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs. They held them to 17 points, which is pretty darn good. But Herbert is still hurt. He's coming back. They may have rushed him a little bit to get back, but, I mean, he was their best chance of winning that game. So, I think with the extra week of rest, he's going to come out much more refreshed, able to run around a little bit, get a little separation from the defensive lineman chasing him around, and perhaps John Harbaugh.
Jim.
It's Jim?
Joe.
John is on the Ravens.
Joe Harbaugh.
Anyway,
Joseph
Harbaugh coach can get a little bit of time to maybe review some tape. Quite frankly, that offense has not been clicking the way it should. They're not getting the yards, but a lot of teams aren't right now. And this gives them a unique opportunity to implement perhaps a couple of changes to their team to get them back off the slide. Maybe they come back and they're firing on all cylinders. Who knows? We're going to find out. Speaking of firing on all cylinders, of course, we are brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. More than just a sign shop. Check them out in Westminster for all your sign and decal needs. And into deep of Maryland, they have a show coming up at the Waterfront Hotel, October 18th. It's a Friday. It's going to be a great show. Go ahead and check them out. I think it starts at 9 o'clock. So,
Are you sure?
Check the Facebook.
Yeah, that's right. Check their Facebook. They have a Facebook link, so find them.
They're a band. Wouldn't they be on MySpace?
They're out there.
This isn't 2004, Tarek. Come to the future.
Yeah, I'm not in their top 8 anymore. Anyway, let's take a look at the standings. And
No, I don't want to. Can we just skip
there
that
we
part?
go.
No.
Jessica, of course, with the 13-3 week. Me with the 13-3 week. Couple of really close calls on my end. Could have gone either way on quite a few games, but I think it was an all-around good week for most of us.
No.
Most. You're not the most, Tarek. You're the other.
I'm just glad I still managed to stay above you even with my abysmal week.
Yeah, it's been rough for your boy.
Yeah. But life goes on. And as things go on, we go on to King Football. Jesus, your game of the week.
Well, to stick with the theme of being disappointed, I'm going with two teams who really have, I think, disappointed so far this year, and that's the Buffalo Bills going against the Houston Texans. I look at these two teams, and we kind of hit on Buffalo last week that they didn't really play any good teams, and they go into Baltimore and they get absolutely steamrolled. And then you've got Houston, who I think everyone here, and then the people who actually get paid money to do this, thought Houston were going to be world beaters this year. They got Stephon Diggs, they got Joe Mixon, that young defense got experience, but they're not winning games convincingly. So I'm seeing these two teams as kind of both teetering on the edge of waiting for like the one wrong injury to happen, and then their season is kaput because they're not really playing football to the level that we know that these teams can play. So when I look at this game, what do I see? I see Buffalo, whose offense got exposed last week, and a defense who got absolutely gashed by the run against the Ravens. And then I see the Houston Texans, who haven't really had a run game since Joe Mixon went down with an injury, but also have really good wide receiving weapons. And I don't think that Buffalo has the corners to cover them. So for this game, I'm going with the Houston Texans. Really because they're at home and hoping that Joe Mixon can come back, because if he can be that dual threat running back that he was for the first two games of the season, Buffalo's going to be in for another long game.
Yeah, this one was hard for me. The stats got Buffalo winning this hands down, but after that game against the Ravens, now Ravens are, as Brady said, they're finally starting to pick up. They're finally starting to find their pieces and get things working the way they weren't the first couple of weeks. They managed to keep through the game, keep through the fourth quarter, which is where they kept losing it. But Buffalo just didn't look, as Brady said, I'm just repeating it, they didn't look the team that they're supposed to be. Hands out in years and years, the last couple of years, they've been like that team to be scared of. And I was scared going in to the Baltimore game last week, not so scared now. I have the Bills to win this, but this might be one of those that I text Sam Sunday morning and go, all right, switch me up to the Houston Texans, because I'm very uneasy about it.
I looked at this game and I looked at two things. I looked at the Buffalo Bills defensive line. They've been a pretty strong unit except for last week when Derrick Henry absolutely gashed them for almost 200 yards rushing. And I look at that offensive line of the Houston Texans. The reason why they're not getting victories by big numbers is because that offensive line is not protecting as well as it did last year. And the run game has suffered immensely. It does not help the fact that Joe Mixon has been injured and they've been having to rely on Cam Akers, who couldn't run through a wide open hole if if you pointed them in the right direction. Unfortunately, with the way things have been going for Houston, I feel like this week is going to be a bit of a struggle for them. I think Buffalo actually blitzes more often and gets to them before they can get the ball off, which is unfortunate because I have CJ Stroud on my fantasy team, and I would really love to see him throw the ball a lot. I feel like this is going to be another one of those higher scoring games because, like Brady said, the Texans haven't really blown anybody out, but they've been in 3 out of their 4 games. The ones that they've won, they got extremely bashed by the Vikings. They scored single-digit points. Vikings scored in the 30s. Buffalo, however, when I look at the teams that they've played, their wins have been pretty convincing. I mean, 34-28 over the Cardinals. Yeah, it was week 1. Week 2, 31-10 over the Dolphins. That's when Tua decided, I'm going to go head first into another player and knock myself out. Week 3, Jaguars, absolute dumpster fire, 47-10. So I feel like this one's going to be close. I got the Buffalo Bills winning it by, I'm going to say 4 points. Now, let's get on to our next game. Tarek, welcome back. Give us that game of the week.
I got a divisional rivalry going the Falcons and the Buccaneers. This one's interesting. You had me confused there. I'm like, what? Did I tell you a different game? So this one's interesting to me. We got a divisional rivalry. We got another case. I just want to cap this off with this season is just weird. Like we're talking about our records. Our records are not what they usually are, not what they're supposed to be. Teams are winning and losing that aren't supposed to do. So this is one of those situations. You got team 3-1 with the Bucs. You got 2-2 with the Falcons. They haven't pulled their name out of Brady's mouth yet, like they did last year. But these games are kind of weird. Like the one loss that the Bucs had is to the Broncos and Bo Nix. And the Falcons, like I'm looking at them, just so I can get my stats here correctly. So the Falcons beat the Saints, which is good. Lost to the Chiefs. That's not saying a whole lot. And then they beat the Eagles, who are on a downward turn. So it's kind of a weird mixed bag. And then the Steelers won, figuring out their quarterback situation. So I mean, it's hard to tell and get a gauge on what's going on with this. So I'm going with Tampa Bay. They look a little bit better. They look like they have more stuff together if you don't count the Denver game. But we'll see. I mean, the whole standings could do a whole other flip next week, so we'll see. But for now, I'm going with Tampa Bay. We'll see what my more football learned colleagues say.
I'm going to agree. I'm going with Tampa, and I watched the majority of that Eagles game last week, and they looked like they were a great team, but I also watched a good bit of the Denver game, and they looked like they couldn't get out of their own way. So going back and looking at Tampa's schedule, it seems like they play to the level of their competition. You know, the Eagles supposed to be a really good team, but they went into that game without their top 2 wide receivers, and that's really a heavy mountain to move for any team. So I look at this, like, how is a team that plays to the level of their competition going to play against a Falcons team, which really, I feel like hasn't gotten out of the starting blocks. Again, a team with a bunch of weapons, but I'm going to harp on this again. Kirk Cousins, I don't think his ankle is 100% as being the king of also foot injuries. Sorry, Tarek, I know you've got one now, but I still win.
It's not a competition that I want to win.
No doubt about
it.
Shut up.
The Falcons just they can't get out of their own way. It seems like when they have something good going, they abandon it, almost like the Ravens teams of old. So I'm going with Tampa in this one, essentially because I don't know what kind of team the Falcons want to be.
Look at this game. Tampa Bay, when they lost that game against Denver, there was one big reason why they lost it. They were going against a good defense, a very good defense. Problem is Tampa Bay has not gone against many other great defenses. That was the best one they went against this year. It was an anomaly. Atlanta does not have a great defense. And yeah, that offense is okay. They've kept them in games. They almost beat the Chiefs. They beat whoever the hell else they bet.
We're professionals, people.
Yeah, we're professionals. They beat the Saints by 2 points. They beat the Eagles by 1 point. And they lost to the Steelers by 18. It was a good defense. Unfortunately, they don't have an offense. I feel like the Falcons are going to struggle all year. This is their identity. They are not a great team right now. They need a better offensive line. They need that defense to step up a little bit. And quite frankly, I don't think they do it against the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers run away with this one. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game for the Bucs. I'm going to say 35-10. So, I know. Don't have the big numbers. Anyway, speaking of throwing them out, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my game of the week, and that is the Cowboys against the Steelers. Now, I look at this, and the Steelers have a great defense. That's pretty much their only thing they got going for them right now is the defense. This is a story of a great defense against a great offense. And on the flip side, you have a bad defense with no identity against a bad offense who can't seem to do anything right. The Cowboys' defense has zero identity since Dan Quinn left last year. Zero. And that has cost them dearly. Dan Quinn is in Washington absolutely leading that team. He is a great coach. We're stuck with Mike McCarthy. Yay.
You also have an owner that won't stay being an owner.
Yeah, he loves to dip his toe into everything.
His whole foot.
Yeah, pretty much. No matter if it hurts or not. But I think Dallas, with their offense, can overcome what the Steelers' defense can bring against them. This is going to be a lower scoring game. I got this one as a 20-17 game, which is uncharacteristic for the Cowboys, but super characteristic for the Steelers. So I got the Cowboys in a close one. I could absolutely see Dallas just giving this one away, though.
Yeah, I look at this game and I see essentially a litany of stars who aren't playing. The Steelers lost their starting guard this week for the rest of the year to injury, and the Cowboys maybe without Micah Parsons.
Yeah, they're with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes, so 2 stars on that defense that has no identity. But watching the Steelers offense, the only way that they can really generate plays is if Cordell Patterson, who left last week with an injury, or Najee Harris, who left last week with an injury for a little bit, if they get room that open space, so that if the Steelers' offensive line isn't able to do that, then it's going to be up to Justin Fields to throw the ball to the wide receiver, George Pickens, who can only get open with that little OPI shove that he does on every corner to get open. And I don't think that it's really going to happen this week. I'm going with Dallas simply for the fact that I saw more out of Dallas's offense last week when they were using CeeDee Lamb in that scat back role than I did the Steelers against any team this year. So I'm going with Dallas.
Football terms, football words, things, sports. Yes, I know things. So I'm going with Dallas on this one, mainly because I feel like Dallas knows a little bit more about who they are and who they're trying to be. Steelers started out this year. We didn't know what quarterback they were going to use. They didn't know which way they were going to go. Their wide receiver core almost non-existent, as Brady said with Pickens there. Defense, steel curtain. It's still there. It's still strong. But Dallas, even against their 2 losses that they had, were not big. They were within that margin, and I feel like their offense can power them through. I think their offense is stronger than the Steelers' defense. So, but we'll see.
All right.
Pickem's just like, yay!
Everyone's on my side this week.
That's because
Speaking
Jess isn't here.
of, let's get a look at our pop panel quick pick'ems. Starting with the first set of games. Absolutely, no question, everybody's on the same page.
Give me some time to mull over that Carolina-Chicago game because I'm still not convinced.
There's
that
Jessica
You're
right
gonna
there.
pick Carolina?
There's
I'm
Jessica
thinking
right there.
about it because I don't think Caleb Williams currently is an NFL quarterback.
He certainly fooled me. He dresses.
Well, sure,
Everything.
he's in the NFL.
I was
as a
about to say,
quarterback.
he's getting like 7 times my salary.
Sure, he's ours combined. Yeah, great. But still, the decisions that he's making, again, another offense that has a litany of weapons, they just aren't producing the way that they should. So I think with seasoning, he can be a serviceable NFL quarterback. But this year, I don't know. But that's kind of like the tale of the stinky fart versus the stinky fish. They both stink. So who stinks less is kind of what I'm looking at with that game.
I'm unfamiliar with that tale, but okay, we'll have
It
So-
to.
was
little
the most
time
PG
on him.
one I could think of off the top of my head.
Give him a little time.
So
Go pick it up.
What kind of seasoning? We're talking about some paprika, some coriander,
Right.
the pepper grinder going.
Some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one, where the only dissenting opinion is the one we've already talked about.
Honestly, I'm surprised at that just because of how the Bills looked last week.
Well, as I said, I'm on the fence. So,
All
but
right.
their other stats with their players are still holding the Bills on the line. So,
Got to hold that line. I am the only one to pick the Raiders to win.
That was one I almost like, depending on how the injuries fall out, and if the Raiders wind up holding Devontae Adams out because they're going to trade him early this year. But we'll see.
I feel like he comes back. I feel like that's the reason why they win. They got to show he's healthy.
True. And that's why if he plays, I'm going to switch.
And the Sunday and Monday night games, only Jessica, I discussed this with her before I did the video. She's got a hunch that the New Orleans Saints are going
I'm putting this on video right now. If she sticks with that pick and the Saints win, I'm going to have her investigated for stealing Hermione's time turner or her crystal ball or something, because there is no shot.
her dog is actually a house elf that's just going around stealing
Yes.
her children.
Yes.
Tommy, get back here.
No shot.
It's not as far fetched as you think it is.
Well,
I
no,
feel like
because the
Kansas
Chiefs-
City, they're missing Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Clyde
That helps my fantasy team.
But it's being played in Kansas City, and Taylor Swift's going to be in the audience. They're going to show her 8 to 10 times during the game, and they don't want her to leave upset. So they're obviously, I hate saying this, but we've all seen it. It happens in the NFL. It's an entertainment business that's there to make money. So if you have more people tuning in to watch the Taylor Swift team, they're going to let them win.
I don't know.
I just remember the exact opposite happening when this Dallas quarterback dated a singer.
But Jessica Simpson versus Taylor Swift in
They're
money.
both annoying. They're both annoying blondes. I don't know.
I have nothing against Jessica Simpson.
Nor should you. She's a nice lady.
She is. She's a wonderful woman, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Taylor Swift is up hanging with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively up there. Jessica Simpson was near the front, like holding her pink jersey. Like, so
Yeah,
decorum's completely different there.
that's right.
There's a big difference between Taylor Swift and the girl who was in the Dukes of Hazzard movie. So,
All right.
I think we should end on that note. Thank you guys so much for watching. Click like to that comment. Comment who your favorite singer football combo is. Subscribe so you see our videos. YouTube things at the end of a video. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. All tens of you, or thousands, as Sam said earlier. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. I'm Tarek.
I'm King Football Jesus.
And I'm Sam, and you have a great football week.
Bye, guys.